This OTK deck finished the N/R Festival in one freaking day. What's going on, guys? My name is Susu from Head-to-Head Battles, and in today's episode, we're going to be going over an OTK deck with an 80 to about 90% win rate if you know how to navigate the deck well. Now, I know that last deck I put up for the N/R Festival, the comments were insane, and I get it, and Twitch and I, we had a laugh. Check this one out. My record with this deck is... My only win of 10 was a... I played this deck until turn 8. All I had just modern. Yo, my bad. Yo, this is so funny. Yo, I'm literally crying, bro. Don't play this. It breaks like a motherfucker. You could build a house with it. Listen, I'm telling you, Master Duels loves making you draw the one-ofs, and I promise, when I was testing this deck live, and you can ask Twitch chat, we literally only dropped one game to Metaphos, and it was because I misplayed. But listen, it happens. I'm sorry about that deck, but I promise this one will make it up to you. But anyways, guys, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below how much success you see with this deck, and if it helped you finish the N/R Festival. And as a quick PSA, this is a skeleton version of the deck, so you can make any changes to fit your necessary playstyle, or swap out some cards. But we're going to be going over some of the main cards and the kind of the main combo line, so make sure you keep those cards. And without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so I got inspiration from another player in Master Duels. He hit me with this deck, and I had to let the people know that this deck actually exists, and it is popular enough where I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, but I'm going to explain it to you card for card if you are having trouble with the deck and you're not seeing the results that you like to see. All right, so the first card we're playing is Sangan. So this card basically, when it goes from field to graveyard, will find you a Time Lord, and it will find you any Time Lord that you need for the occasion. That's basically all you need to know. The one kind of brick that you play, but not really a brick, is Performapal Hippo. You generally don't really care about its effect because you're summoning it from your hand or deck with Super Hippo Carnival, okay? Next, we're playing 3 Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaijus. The only reason we play this is because it is a light monster, and it works with kind of the main combo piece that we'll get to later. But generally, if your opponent has an invincible card on the field, like number whatever Draglublion, or the 7 Sins, this is quite the easy out for it, okay? Next, to our Time Lords, okay? We're playing Meta Ion, the Time Lord. This card says that at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, return as many monsters on the field as possible to the hand, and if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card returned. Now, the really cool thing about Time Lords is that you take no battle damage and they can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and this really comes up when we get to the spell section of the deck under TAI Strike, okay? So this card is really good for clearing boards. Now, we're playing 3 Jizukiri, the Star Destroying Kaiju. This is a level 10, and all your Time Lords are level 10, so this is really important in conjunction with Celestial Transformation, because you can get a Kaiju and a Time Lord onto the field most of the time. All right, so again, this is the light attribute that will work with Leech of the Light, and we'll go over that later, okay? Next, for our other Time Lord, we're playing Lazion, the Time Lord. This card says it cannot be special summoned from the deck, and if you control no monsters, you can normal summon this card without tributing, and that's any Time Lord, okay? So again, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and you take no damage, battle damage, from attacks involving this card. Now, at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, you can shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck, and once per turn, if your opponent draws a card, and they will in the draw phase, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. Now, this card is really cool because if your opponent is playing a very graveyard-centric deck, you can shuffle back all their combo pieces that they took the time to bring out with this Time Lord, okay? Next, we're playing Zaphion, the Time Lord. This card is really cool because in conjunction with Advanced Draw, it allows you to actually draw 3 cards. So this card says, again, the same thing as all the other Time Lords, but at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, you can shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck. Now, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. So this card plus Advanced Draw is really powerful, and I do it a lot to be able to draw 3 cards and really see the combo pieces that I need to see, okay? And a lot of people are playing back row heavy decks anyways, so Zaphion is really good to clear the back row, okay? Next, we're playing 1 Mishion, the Time Lord. This card says, at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, you can have your opponent's LP. This one is really good, but only really good when your opponent has about 8,000 life points, because it brings them immediately down to 4,000, and that's why we only play one of these as opposed to more, even though we could play more, okay? And lastly, we're playing Raphion, the Time Lord. This card says, at the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, I can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of one monster your opponent controls that battled this card this turn. So this card is really good because if you beat into a kaiju that you've given your opponent will effectively take 3,300 damage, and in conjunction with TAI Strike, you can hit them for even more, right? Next, we're playing your favorite card, Advanced Draw. This card says, I contribute one face-up level 8 or higher monster you control to draw 2 cards, and you can get a lot of them on the field because you can summon the kaijus for free if you've given your opponent a kaiju, and you can most of the time summon 2 Time Lords if you open Celestial Transformation. Now, Celestial Transformation says I can special summon 1 fairy monster from my hand, but the monster's attack is halved and is destroyed during the end phase. But generally speaking, after the battle phase, you're gonna overlay them for, you know, cards in your extra deck, so it doesn't matter. But generally with Advanced Draw, you want to tribute the Zaphion so you can, you know, get the Zaphion in the graveyard and then draw a card off of its own effect, effectively drawing you 3 cards, okay? Now, the main card in the deck and what makes this deck so good is Leeching the Light. This card says I can select 1 face-up light monster your opponent controls, and all face-up attack position monsters that I control gain attack equal to the attack of the selected monster until the end phase. And because this card's not once per turn, these cards actually stack and the effects actually stack, which is really, really nice. So if you've given your opponent a Thunder King Kaiju or a Jizukiri, you can make your own monsters gain 3,300 attack points. Now, this comes in really handy with this card called Super Hippo Carnival. This card says I can special summon 1 Performapal Hippo from my hand, deck, or graveyard, then special summon as many tokens as possible, but they cannot be tributed, and monsters your opponent controls cannot target monsters for attack for the rest of the turn except tokens. So this card is not only an offensive token or an offensive card, but also a defensive card as well, because it kind of works like scapegoats for you Yugi boomers out there. So generally speaking, the Time Lords are there to help you kind of get the cards that you kind of need to facilitate this combo. And then once you've given your opponent a kaiju, you can activate Super Hippo Carnival and then target the kaiju to give all your monsters on the field plus 3,300 attack. And when you're summoning Hippo, it already has 800, so it's going to gain 3,300, giving it effectively 4,100, allowing you to beat into your opponent's kaiju, and then you can beat into your opponent with the 4 other tokens that you have. All right, now this next card is really, really cool because this card says during damage calculations, if your monster battles an opponent's monster, your battling monster's attack becomes that opponent's monster's attack during that damage calculation only. The controller of any monster destroyed by that battle takes damage equal to its original attack. So during damage step, okay, if you attack with the Time Lord into your opponent's kaiju and you use TAI Strike targeting your Time Lord, it'll gain the attack of the kaiju, destroying that kaiju, and then your opponent will take 3,300, right? But if you use Raphion again said that I can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack of 1 monster your opponent controls that battle this turn. Doesn't work because now, you know, your opponent won't be controlling that monster, right? So keep that in mind. Next, we're playing 3 Ring of Destruction. It's just a really good card because after you Mission burn your opponent for 4,000, and you can Ring of Destruction for more burn damage, but unless you exactly hit them with Ring of Destruction, you can't go lethal with Ring of Destruction. So keep that in mind, all right? You cannot inflict lethal damage with a Ring of Destruction, okay? Next, we're playing 1 Chaos Dyson Sphere, 3 level 10 monsters. You rarely bring this out, but you just have it just to have it, I guess, in your extra deck. Next, we're playing a really cool Xyz monster called number 35, Ravenous Tarantula. This is 2 level 10 monsters, and it says all monsters you control gain attack and defense equal to the difference between your LP and your opponent. So after you Mission, you'll pretty much have a 4,000 attack and defense Ravenous Tarantula. And this card says every time your opponent special summons a monster, you can inflict 600 damage to your opponent, and once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to this card, which is really, really cool. Then you can overlay this with number 84 Pain Gainer. You discard really doesn't matter. It's basically XC's fodder for one of your boss monsters, well, even bigger boss monsters, in the form of number 77, the 7 Sins. This card says if I can overlay it onto, you know, the other XC's monsters, and once per turn, you can detach 2 XC's materials from this card, banish as many special summon monsters from your opponent's control as possible, then attach one of those banished monsters to this card as XC's material. And after you overlay everything, it's going to have 5 materials, which will effectively make it really, really powerful, because this card also says, if this face-up card on the field would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach 1 XC's material from this card instead. So it does have some protection from battle or card effect destruction, but not banishment or a spin back to hand, so keep that in mind, okay? Next, we're playing 1 Clara and Rushka. The reason we play this is, in main phase 2, we can link off the Zaphian, the Time Lord, to draw a card, which is really, really nice. Again, we're playing a Pentastag, which we rarely get into. Geonator Transverser is a really interesting card because if your opponent is not respecting the zones, Geonator Transverser is really, really cool because this card says if this card points to 2 monsters, you can switch control of those monsters, which is really, really powerful, okay? And lastly, we're playing Power Code Talker. Again, we generally don't go into this card, but we'll give it a read. This card says once per turn, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, negate that target's effect until the end of this turn, and once per turn, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculations, quick effect, I contribute 1 monster that this card points to, and this card's attack becomes double its original attack during that damage calculation only. Okay, so a lot of you may be thinking that, you know, what if you draw too many Time Lords or too many Kaijus? That's okay, because generally if you draw it in conjunction with Hippo Carnival, which basically is Super Hippo Carnival without you being able to summon the actual Hippo card, it still gives you 3 free tokens on the board, which is really, really powerful, okay? So the deck is pretty easy, but let's go over into the replays, and I'll give you kind of a play-by-play so you guys understand it a little bit better. All right, so in this replay, we actually don't open very well, but I'm going to show you the power of the Time Lords, okay? So our opponent is playing heroes. He's going to summon, equip Durandal, and use Durandal effect to add him Blaze Man. And then he's going to show a fusion monster to dump the materials, and then go into Infernal Driver. Now, Infernal Driver will reveal another fusion monster, adding him another piece. He's going to set. Now, I'm going to attack into him with Rathian, and he'll take the 1700. He's going to MST one of my Ring of Destructions away, and then he's going to then play normal summoning Blaze Man, getting him Polymerization. Now he's going to go into a Cross Sheep. I'm going to destroy Cross Sheep because if he polys, yeah, he's going to get the effect of Cross Sheep. So he's going to go into another poly, going into Wingman. I'm going to draw. Rathian gets shuffled back into the deck. I'm going to be giving him a Kaiju, using Advanced Draw to draw 2. Summon Raphion, summon my tokens, use Leeching of the Light, which will effectively boost all of my tokens, allow me to OTK, all right? So in the next replay, I'm going to show you a longer match where I definitely kind of break, but the deck is still really, really viable. Okay, so in this game, you're going to see that we drew a Kaiju, a Raphion, a Carnival, TA Strike, and a Ring of Destruction. Now, our opponent sets 2 and passes, and I draw into a Sangan. So I'm going to put the Sangan face down with the TAI Strike and the Ring of Destruction on the field, giving me some form of a barrier. Now, I don't want to set the Hippo Carnival because I don't want it to pop it because it is one of my main combo pieces. Now, we draw into another Ring of Destruction, which doesn't do anything for us, which, you know, could be seen as a problem. And a lot of decks in the N/R Festival are going to be like this, okay? So he's going to smash into my Sangang, allowing me to grab a Zaphian, which I know will clear his back row. So he's going to pass turn. I'm going to draw a card, which will end up being Super Hippo Carnival, but we're still looking for Leech of the Light. Now we're going to summon Zaphian. He's going to go Compulse and the Zaphian, and that is okay because we still have a large form of disruption. Plus now we have 3 tokens that we can summon just in case he does end up beating into us for a lot. Now I'm going to take this first hit because he does need a monster on the field because I need to Kaiju it for the Leech of the Light. Now we're going to draw another Kaiju for turn. We're going to summon Zaphian, go into battle phase, and he's going to hit me with a Phantasm Spiral, but because it was negated, it does get destroyed, but I still get the effect. Now I drew Leeching the Light, which is the one piece that I needed, and that's why I kept my Kaijus in my hand. Okay, he's gonna activate his field spell. I'm gonna fire off a Hippo Carnival to bait out some back row, the back row that kind of will pop my cards. So this is really, really important. Okay, so and then he's going to use Lightning Vortex to clear my monsters and beat into me for another 2,000, and that's a-okay. we're gonna win this turn anyway. So we're gonna draw a card. It's another Hippo Carnival, and that's all we need. We're going to Kaiju him, Kaiju ourselves, use Super Hippo Carnival, which will summon us Hippo and 3 tokens, because it summons as many tokens as possible, right? And then he's going to create a token of his own with his field spell, and then draw a trap card that he can play from hand. But it's not gonna help him at all. So our monsters are huge. We're gonna beat into the Kaiju, and then we're gonna beat into the token. But he's going to pop the Hippo. But it doesn't matter. We have too much damage on board, and we take the game from there. And we still had double Ring of Destruction as well as TAI Strike that we didn't even use. All right, guys, so that's it for me today. I know in the last NR video you guys were kind of commenting how the deck bricks a lot. I gotta be honest with you, a lot of you commenting that are probably not playing optimally, but the deck does brick. I know when I was streaming it the first time, it didn't brick at all. I thought the deck was insane, and I still really do think the deck is really good. But when I tried it again, I did notice that I was bricking more often, and I was just getting pretty lucky the first time around. So I do apologize for that. If you've wasted your mats, I am sorry. But this deck is really powerful. It got me to finish the entire festival in one sitting, in one stream, in about 2 hours. So I literally finished the entire festival in 2 hours and got all my gems. All right, so I freaking love you guys so much, man. This is Susu from Head to Head Battles, signing out.
What's up, guys? If you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that button right there in the middle.
Also, if you haven't watched that video that YouTube is recommending you, it's probably crazy, all right? Go watch it. This is Susu from Head to Head Battles,
Head to Head Battles,
signing out.